asking one of the sentinels in his army, how goes the night? How goes the battle? In many ways, that is a question that many of you have asked me over these last few days since I've been here. How goes the battle? What of the night? Are we facing so much discrimination and the rebirth of Jim Crow in certain parts of our country, and the challenge that our young men face as they go in the streets, sometimes with not any other problems than that they happen to be African American? And you ask me, does that mean that the dream has failed? And I'm here tonight to tell you that it has not failed. In the first place, you have to remember that it's a dream. And the dream is a vision. It is not the substance. It is the vision. It is a wonderful vision that has been outlined beautifully by Dr. Martin Luther King. But it is the kind of thing that takes work to make it happen. And it takes work from all of you, all of your lives. And it takes a kind of handing over of that work and a commitment from each generation. My father used to always say, how many of you hear your father's and your mother's words in your head? I see a lot of you do. And sometimes you can't get them out. Now, there may be some you need to get out, but that's okay. But I was always hearing things that my father and my mother said to me, and they are the things that have sustained me. My dad would always say, what you get inside of you, nobody can take away. My mother would always say, be sure and help other people. You cast your bread on the waters and it will come back to you after many days. You have to remember, it may not come back the way you sent it, but it will come back. In many ways, Martin Luther King, in his dream and the articulation of it, helped us to see that the world could be different. And he believed that that difference could be made not in violent protests, but in peaceful protests. But he also, he wrote a book which I am quite enamored with, which says, where do we go from here? And he gives us two choices, chaos or community. In a community, he believed in the beloved community, and I had the honor and privilege of spending quite a bit of time with Coretta King. And I really have to lift her up because, a lot of times women don't get the accolations that they should get. She really, if she had not worked as hard as she did, there would be no Martin Luther King Day. She not only did it in America, but I've not been able to find the numbers, but throughout the world there are Martin Luther King celebrations. And one of the things she and I discussed was the fact that the men of the movement did not feel she should be going to Congress and to state houses trying to make this case. They said, let us handle it. That's our job. You stay home and take care of those kids, because that's your job. Thank goodness she didn't do that, because in about 8 years she was able to gather enough signatures in Congress. They were just overwhelmed with mail and with petitions, so much so till they didn't figure they couldn't do anything else but establish the Martin Luther King Day and celebration. 2 years ago, Bill and I went to Washington, and I have to acknowledge my husband. He is a wonderful, wonderful partner, and he has always supported me in all the endeavors that I have done. And when I was running for office, we would go to these meetings, and the men in the room would take him aside and say, are you sure this is all right with you? And he would say, I think she'll make a wonderful councilwoman. And I also think she'd make a wonderful mayor, too.